Do you like pickles? This is the More You NoCo, the Us Weekly of Northern Colorado, except the show is educational, ethical, and hopefully interesting. Today's guest is Mykel Brawley, the owner of the Fort Collins Pickle Company. On today's episode, you'll get to hear how the Fort Collins Pickle Company started in one day after a long time coming. Do not sit there and act like you know the exact process of how to turn a cucumber into a pickle. Don't worry, we'll cover that too. Mykel was gracious enough to bring me a jar of habanero dills. I got the chance to try out these pickles after the interview, and I have to say, they are the real dill. But in all seriousness, excellent product, and you gotta try them out. Are you ready? You ready? What are you waiting on? Are you waiting on me? Huh. Well, let's go. It's always weird picking a time to start. It's like we are officially, quote-unquote, on air. I sit here with Mykel Brawley, the founder and owner of the Fort Collins Pickle Company. We are actually on campus at Front Range Community College in Fort Collins today. Thanks for making time to meet with me.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So, for people who may not be familiar or have never heard of you, what is the Fort Collins Pickle Company?
So, the Fort Collins Pickle Company is a small pickle company, basically. It's mainly me, and I'm going on my third year with the business, although I've been pickling since I was a kid. I make pickles in small batches, basically. I started out under the Cottage Food Act last year, and I don't know if you're familiar with the Cottage Food Act, but
no, what is that?
Okay, I can explain a little bit more.
Please do.
The Cottage Food Act gives people that want to start their own business, as far as if you're a baker or if you want to do jams, they just added pickles as one of the things that you can make under the cottage food law. But basically what it is you're able to produce the product from your home under certain guidelines. And you have to have training, and you basically have to treat your home kitchen like it was a commercial kitchen. So that's where I started last year, just to see if the pickle company was going to take off. And it started to take off. So I've taken the steps that I need to be able to get into stores and expand the pickle company.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I noticed on your website you said that this whole idea started by just giving pickles to friends.
Like I said, I've pickled since I was a kid, and we would always have a big garden when I was growing up. Mm-hmm. And then one of the things that we grew was cucumbers. So we'd do batches of cucumbers. So I learned how to pickle from my grandmother and my mom and my dad. And then when we pickled during pickling season, and then I just kind of kept that going through the years, and I would do it for friends and family when cucumbers were in season. And then I decided a couple years ago to see what would come of it, and that's where I'm at now, basically. So.
And you used to be a social worker,
yes.
Correct? So how did this start to formulate in your mind that I can leave my full-time job behind and I can make pickles for a living?
So it was a lot of soul-searching and contemplating on where I was in life. I had been with the Department of Human Services here in Larimer County for 16 years, and under the Children and Family Division. And I took some time off when I was at that position, and then I went back for a little bit longer, and I still felt like I needed to make a change. And so I spoke with my husband, and he's like, "What do you want to do?" And I said, "Make pickles." And so I think it was that night we got on and got the LLC, and that's kind of where the Fort Collins Pickle Company started. And so I stayed with the department. I think it was, can't remember how long of notice I gave, but I think it was a few months. And I was done. I went part-time in a different position for a while, and then when farmers market started, I realized that I wasn't able to do both the pickle company and even work part-time, because the pickle company takes all of my time from basically morning till night. I lost an income. The family lost an income for the last couple of years, and we've managed. I'm just going forward with the pickle company.
Right. Is the pickle company growing at a rate that you're happy with? You're saying, all right, the finances are coming back.
Yeah,
here.
it's not supporting me, but it's supporting itself.
Right.
So if that makes any sense. So the pickle company has probably doubled in the last year, and it's taking care of itself and expanding. So for me, I'm happy where I'm at. I'm going to continue to see what other avenues are there for me, expand into different areas in Colorado, different stores, different farmers markets, and see what this next year brings. It was a really, really busy summer and a good summer, and I just want to keep that moving forward. I'm not in a position to take over the pickle world. That's not my
no pickle empire?
No. I just want to continue to make really great pickles and just go at my pace, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of people tell me, you need to do this, and I need to do what's comfortable for me and the pickle company, and that's the road that I am taking.
So you've got some advice you disagree with. Without calling...
I appreciate everybody's advice.
Right, disclaimer. We appreciate everyone's advice.
I appreciate everybody's advice, and I definitely take lots of notes and write lots of things down, but I need to make sure that I'm being true to myself and true to the pickle company.
Right. I was going to say, without icing anybody out here in the open, is there a piece of advice that you've got or directions you've received from people that just were like, ooh, that's not really who I want to be with the pickle company?
Oh, I'd have to think about that one. I have a couple things. I think some people think I need to be moving faster than I feel like I need to, but I'd have to think about that. Let me think about that and get back to you.
We will circle back on that one.
Yeah.
First, we're going to try to do this live, where you actually come back with that while talking. This will be a feat of the human brain.
Okay.
I wrote this down because I was super curious. You said under the Cottage Food Act, you had to treat your home kitchen as a commercial kitchen.
Yes.
Can you walk through? I don't even know what that looks like.
Well, so I had to take a training through CSU Extension Office and be certified. So you're walking into, make sure that you have good hygiene. There's no animals around, dogs, cats, hairs up, surfaces are sanitized. There's a list of things, and honestly, I can't remember them off the top of my head right now. Right. But you don't want, you want to treat it like a commercial kitchen. Just basically what I said, plus a bunch more. You need to know food safety, what's around that. And
do they ever check up on you, or is it?
It is not regulated.
Right.
No.
But so it's on this system that I go out and get the training.
When I say regulated, there's nobody that comes in and inspects your home kitchen under the Cottage Food Act. Right. And you have to have a disclaimer on your product saying that this product was made in a home kitchen. And you also, when you go into a market, you have to have that posted too. And it doesn't, under the Cottage Food Act, you're only allowed to sell directly to the consumer. So it wouldn't be retail. You couldn't do retail or wholesale. Sorry. Is that right? Yeah.
Not sure. But so that means
you can't sell to stores, if that makes any sense. You can't sell your product to a store
instead
and have them sell it.
A store gives you a space in which you can...
No, you can't even do that. You have to sell it under the Cottage Food Act. You have to sell it directly to the consumer.
So where all are you selling straight to the consumer besides farmers markets?
So I actually have my license, my manufacturing license through the state, so I'm able to sell at farmers markets and also in stores. So the first store that I was in or am in is Old Town Spice Shop. They've been a huge support to me. Sean at Old Town Spice Shop. I get my spices through Old Town, so they carry the entire pickle line. I'm also in Beaver's Market, who's a huge supporter of local food vendors. The Food Co-op, which just changed their name to Mountain Market. I'm in them, or in that store. Let's see, Morning Fresh Dairy picked me up on their home delivery service, and then also the Howlin' Cow Cafe. In a handful of liquor stores south of town with my garlic dill and my habanero dill spears. People like them for Bloody Marys and things like that. I am in Edwards Meats in Denver, or Wheat Ridge. I'm trying to think where else. I'm in Brand's Liquor in Loveland. So I'm kind of trying to expand. I know I'm missing some stores, but if you go on Fort Collins Pickle Company.com, it has a list of where I'm at.
Shout out to all stores, even if we forgot.
Yes.
So your manufacturer's license allows you to actually distribute in that manner.
Yes.
Just in addition to the Cottage Food Act.
So I'm no longer under that.
Oh,
so that
okay.
goes away. So that's just where I started. And so once you get your license and you have to go through all the regulations for the state, you're no longer under Cottage Food. So that's just where I started to see if I was able to even sell pickles, like if people were even going to buy my pickles.
Right.
So that gave me a safe place to start without investing a bunch of money, if that makes sense.
Yeah. The listeners have probably been sitting there for 10 minutes thinking, dummy, Ivan, she said she started with the Cottage Food Act. She's out from underneath it. And I'm sitting here trying to put these two pieces together in my head. I'm super confused.
It's okay. It is kind of confusing, actually. It's not kind of confusing. It's just, it is very confusing, the whole process of starting and making the transition and then where you need to be.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to it.
So you mentioned earlier, before you decided that it was going to be this pickle endeavor, you already had a feeling, working for Larimer County as a social worker, you had this feeling that maybe I'm not in the right spot and maybe I want to do something else. Would you be willing to elaborate on that, or a couple of pieces that kind of started boiling up inside you?
I mean, it wasn't anything huge that happened. I just knew, I think my time was done. I just felt like it was time for me to take a chance, if that makes any sense. And then I finally had the support of my family and my friends and my husband to say, do it, just do it, and we'll see where things go. I'm very much a planner. Anybody that knows me, I like things planned out. I have my notes, my sticky notes for the day. Very organized. When things are not in order, it a little bit drives me crazy. So this was a huge step for me to make. In the first 6 months, I was like, what have I done? I don't even, what am I thinking? I had no idea. And a bit overwhelming. There was times where I thought maybe I should just go back or find a stable job that has a stable income. But as time moved on, I know I'm in the right place. If that answers your question.
Oh, yeah,
it wasn't anything life-changing happened. It just was, I knew in my heart it was time to move on.
Right. And it's enticing to go back to that stable paycheck.
Yes.
Safety.
Yes.
And secure, knowing that this is where the next 30 paychecks are coming from.
Yes.
And I wake up and I go to this place, and that is what work is called. Mm-hmm. And you becoming an entrepreneur, I mean, did you just wake up some days and you just sat there and thought, what am I going to do today? Or what does this look like?
Well, there's always something
months?
To do, for sure. I don't know if I've thought, I have thought of the future, but really it's just going day by day and setting my little goals, if that makes any sense. Mm-hmm. So I have my certain days that I'm in the kitchen producing, and then I'm getting into more of a routine of, okay, delivery days are on these days, markets are on these days. I'm going to take this time to go and see if I can pick up a few more stores, drop off some samples. My days are full, for sure.
When you're trying to get into a store, do you bring a collection of pickles and you say, why don't I let the product speak for itself?
I do bring a sample. I don't usually bring the full pickle line, but like if it's a liquor store, I'll bring a jar of habanero dills or garlic dills, and then my wholesale sheet and a card, and then I follow up with them.
Right, after they've had a chance to try out the pickles.
Yes.
And then you call them back or email them and they say, these are great.
I get good feedback. Yeah. I wish I had more time, and I'm going to have a friend helping me this winter to kind of reach out to some more stores. I'd like to branch out into more stores at this point.
Yeah. I assume because you grow all of your own cucumbers that... Oh, you don't?
I don't grow all of my...
Okay.
No. I use all local cucumbers when they're in season.
Local cucumbers
So,
in
yes.
season.
If I grew all my cucumbers, I'd have maybe a jar of pickles. So, no, It's been yeah, that's not my deal. It's not my strong suit.
So what is that season the cucumbers growing?
So this year we had a rough time this year just because of the hail and then the heat at the beginning. So a lot of the farmers that I was working with got hit pretty hard. So it was a little bit later. It's usually July through September. I have one farm I'm still working with, but they have a greenhouse, so I'm getting cucumbers still from them.
Okay, and they're able to supply you year round, or
no, not year round. So I use a distributor
so longer
for yes. So I use local produce when it's in season and when I can. But then on the off season, I use a distributor.
Oh, okay, so you get cucumbers from elsewhere. Because I was going to ask, like, do you have real like pickling intensive times of the year versus more intense times of the year where you're going out and trying to get distribution to get into other places? Or
yeah, I mean I'm definitely slowing down right now, just as far as how many pickles or cucumbers I was pickling. It was a busy last 3 months for sure.
Right.
The last 3 months have been busy.
Because especially if you get in contact in the summer and the fall months when you are worried about product, it's like, I don't want to lose this contact, but I also am going 1,000 miles an hour here.
Yeah, I went 1,000 miles an hour.
Yeah, and still are, probably?
Yeah, it's still, I have, every day is full of things to do. So, yeah, I'm not in the kitchen as long right now, but I'm still producing once a week. So at this point, and hoping once things get a little bit more in the routine, that'll bump up. And once I get some more stores, basically.
Yeah. What's the wait time when you drop the cucumbers in and they become pickles?
As far as cooking, or what I like to do after I'm done making a jar cucumbers into pickles is for my habanero dills and my garlic dills, I like them to sit for a little bit. So I'd like them to sit at least 4 weeks, so the flavors kind of get in there.
Right.
My bread and butter, those are ready to go pretty much right away. And my habanero bread and butter, I like those to sit a little bit longer too.
Okay.
But I don't know if that answered your question. I mean, you could process a jar of cucumbers and open them up right away after you make them, but they would be pretty sour, I guess. They need to sit a little bit and mellow.
Yeah.
The flavors do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you just used the word process, and some of our listeners know exactly what you're talking about, but I'm sitting here with a blank look on my face. As this interview got closer, people may think it's silly, but I actually wanted to ask you to explain the process, because I suspect that a lot of our listeners will also have the same question. I've eaten plenty of cucumbers in my life, and I've eaten plenty of pickles in my life. I don't know what happens behind the curtain.
What makes
if someone were to ask
into
me, how do I make a cucumber into a pickle, I would look at them with fear and anxiety because I don't know.
So it's the process that...
Yes, I would like to jump into this process.
So I use a canning hot water bath process. I'm not going to tell you all my secrets.
Right. We can leave all the secrets out. We could just say, but just in general,
it's
how
basically
do we get
taking a cucumber and however you're pickling it or want it to be made into a pickle. So if that's slices, whole, spears, however you choose to do them. And then you use a brine, which is based on a salt, vinegar, water, and then your spices, whatever spices you want to use. But the brine goes into the jar with the cucumbers, and then it's processed in the hot water bath for a certain amount of time. And then once that's done, comes out, make sure that the top is popped and everything's sealed and everything's done correctly, and then you have a pickle.
So when you're processing and it's in this hot water bath, it's sitting there with the spices, the juices, and...
No. Okay.
Okay.
No. Okay. And people do it differently. I put the cucumbers, the spices, and everything in the jar with the brine.
All right.
And then put the lid on it, tighten it, and then hot water bath it. So it is in a canner that has hot water boiling. Hot water bath. And then you drop the rack with the jars of cucumbers, which are going to be pickles, after you process them. So when I say processing, I basically mean the hot water bath.
Yeah, and does the hot water just move the stuff inside, or?
So it heats it up to a certain temperature, so you're making sure that there's nothing in there that is going to be harmful as far as bacteria.
Okay.
So you want to make sure all that's killed, basically.
Right.
So that's why you have to have certain processing times and temperatures.
Okay.
And I'm not going to get into all of that
Nope.
because everybody does it differently, and I've got mine down, and I've had to have everything tested and reviewed and everything.
To a science.
Yes, to a science.
Right.
It really is a science.
Yeah. 'Cause I imagine in all of this process, there are 1,000 ways you could go for each little step.
You can, and I mean, you have to make sure that temperatures are right, pH levels are right, everything. There's the home canning piece, and then once you do the kind of commercial part, it's a whole different ballgame.
So it's a cucumber that's had its texture and taste affected by this process.
Yes.
And that is what transforms a cucumber into a pickle.
Yeah, right on.
I'm going to walk away from this experience a new person because I now understand. And you actually brought a can of your pickles today.
A jar, yes.
Yeah, a jar, which
jar.
I will be trying here. You
Yeah.
said that they're better refrigerated.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try those out. And then I always record an intro, so I will tell people how great these pickles are.
Okay,
in
all
the
right.
introduction.
Okay. I was looking at that. Yeah,
Jar of habanero dills here.
habanero dills.
Very nice.
Yeah.
What has been like some ups and downs with this selling in the Fort Collins area?
The selling part, I don't necessarily know if there's been a bunch of downs. The ups, there's been quite a few ups. I think in the whole process, there's been ups and downs just to get to where I'm at right now. But as far as like selling to stores, do you mean, or to people, directly to people?
I guess just in general, I imagine, because we'll get into it later, but you grew up in Fort Collins.
I did.
And I just imagine growing up in a town as big as Fort Collins, and then it's in the bigger region known as Northern Colorado, which is growing at a crazy rate. And so you have people moving in, you got your own town getting bigger, you got the surrounding areas getting bigger, and you remember what it was like when you were a kid.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's a local business, which might seem calm, but you're in this hurricane of activity. And I didn't know if you had like some unique perspectives or if you felt any of that in a certain way.
Well, I certainly have watched the town get bigger. This used to be kind of at one point be out of town or at the end of one of the corners of town. Some of the bonuses is I feel connected. Obviously, I feel connected to Fort Collins. I've grown up here. And I feel that it's been welcoming. Like the pickle company has been welcomed, especially at the farmers markets. Met a ton of great people, a lot of regular people that I'm going to have connections with probably, I don't know, maybe through the rest of my life. People have been there. The stores, like I said earlier, like Sean at Old Town Spice Shop, been very welcoming, free with giving advice or want to contact this person or this person would be good to contact. Fort Collins has a lot of great resources. I use the Small Business Development Center, which is a free, what am I trying to say?
Service?
Free service, yes. It's a free service for small businesses. That's been wonderful for me. So I think there's been a ton of pluses. The negative part, I don't even know if it's so much the size of Fort Collins or not. I think it's more of the steps I've had to take to get where I'm at. Not knowing, coming from a social work background, and this is a completely different, I mean, I've pickled, yes, since I was a kid, but having to do everything that I've had to do to get to where I'm at, that has been a huge learning curve. So there's been tons of ups and downs with that.
Well, you knew the pickles, you knew the ingredients, but making these community partnerships, building a website, navigating distribution, and I need a year-round supply of cucumbers. Where the heck do I even start with that, you know?
Yeah, and I've reached out, like my website, I have to thank Danielle from Whipstar Wonder. I don't know if you're familiar with Danielle Ate the Sandwich. She's a local musician.
But I feel like I should
town.
be.
Yes.
Maybe a future guest.
Yes, she would be wonderful. So Danielle started Whipstar Wonder, and she was my neighbor. She just moved, but she's been huge in helping me with the social media part, and that's a big part of this too. And who else? There's been a ton of my friends have helped with markets. My family's helped with markets. They've both helped me produce when I've needed helping produce. My family has been financially, my husband's been supporting me or the family for the last 2 years, why I take this chance. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's, I want to commend you. Being an entrepreneur and jumping out there is not an easy task. It's something that I think terrifies a lot of people.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are sitting there in a job that they don't necessarily feel connected with, and they're not sure how to take their dream to the next step. And that, I can imagine. I mean, I have days, this podcast is for fun right now, right? But I have days where I wake up, and it's so strange to me. I don't know why this happens in the morning, but I feel like, why am I doing this? Mm-hmm. Or, oh my God, I've put out 20 episodes. People probably roll their eyes every time they see I put out a new one. You just have these doubts, but I think you gotta get past that.
Definitely, and honestly, I wouldn't have been able to do this without all that support that I talked about. I have raised a daughter as a single mom, and she just graduated from CSU, and she's on her own now. And so I think that also has helped with me feeling a little bit more freedom of taking this chance.
Yeah.
So,
and I'm glad to hear that people like that you're repping the local, because I will say, I live in Greeley, and there is a specific vendor at the Greeley Farmers Market who makes a cherry crumble. And this lady and I have become quite good friends because it is the best dessert on the planet. And we go there as much as we can to get that dessert back. And she's awesome, but I hope to maybe have her on the show one day.
Yeah, no.
And it's just, I feel like people...
I can give a shout out really quick to Karen and Dean. They're like my buddies at almost every single weekend I see them at the markets, and they have been wonderful. They know all the vendors. They love my relish, and so I don't know. They've been huge. There's a bunch of them. There's a bunch of Patsy, who actually I think teaches here at Front Range.
Oh, nice.
She's been huge too. So there's a ton of people, and also the other vendors have been. The Spicy Jams girls are great. Josh, there's Jesse with Augustina Salsa. There's so many great people that I've met and that are like working their butts off to do something great. Right. So
I don't know if it's true for the whole country, but I feel like at least in northern Colorado or Colorado as a whole, people like to get products like food, produce, even like handmade things. We like to get those from people in our community.
I believe that. And you like to meet the person that's making them.
Yeah. Do you have people who come up to you and they shake your hand like, oh my gosh, I love Fort Collins Pickle Company. It's you.
I have had a couple people say, oh my gosh, I love your pickles. I already get them through, Beavers or Morning Fresh or Old Town. And I do have a bunch of people that love to, and I love to sit and talk to people about like canning stories or growing up. I know I get a ton with my bread and butters that people come up and say, this reminds me of my grandmother's pickle or my aunt's pickle, and I love that. I love that. If someone says this reminds me of their grandmother's and then buys a jar and then I see them the next week or however that works, that's like the best feeling.
Yeah.
It really is.
Was there a specific time growing up where you thought, Grandma's pickles are unique, they're special?
I think the whole process, the whole idea of growing something and then making something from it and doing it with family, I think that experience in itself is something very special. I'm going to get emotional.
No, that's okay. That is all right.
Yeah.
Do you want some time?
No, I think just talking about it, like processing everything.
Yeah, because it means a lot to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
people are going to listen to this, think, oh my goodness.
No.
But the people that know me, they would not be surprised that I'm just teared up right now.
Yeah, no reason to be embarrassed. Because not only is it intimidating to be an entrepreneur and to, like we were talking about earlier, to leave a stable paycheck, but this is something that is within your family and your history. I mean, on your website, first paragraph says, Grandma's recipe, parents' recipe.
Well, it's been tweaked, but yes,
right.
Everything's been tweaked a bit, but yes, the basics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, this is something I think is important for people to know, is that when you see small businesses, it's not just pickles, right? That's what I think. It is like there's so much to people's history, and you never know. Like if you show
Definitely.
up, I just think if people go to farmers markets like 3 times and they buy these products And then it's like when you consume that product, you think of that person. You don't get that when you go buy it at Walmart and you snap into a croissant. It's
exactly.
like, oh, I want to think about the 2,000 people that made this pickle possible. Like, no. It's,
That's true.
It's a personal story, so please don't be embarrassed.
No, and another thing I want to make sure that is I have a huge appreciation, not that I didn't before, but I have even more of an appreciation for farmers and everybody kind of behind the scenes. It's not easy. You don't know. It's morning till night, and we have Colorado weather. You never know what you're going to get. So a couple farms I've worked with this year, probably about 60% of their, in general, not just their cucumber crops, were, gone in the hailstorms. So that's another thing that is I'm appreciative for, and that just buying the local gives me more appreciation for that process.
It's a little more pricey.
It is.
But I think it's worth it.
I do too.
It's great. We also at the Greeley Farmers Market, we buy from shout out to Top Notch Meats. We talk to them every time. We're like, oh, see you next time. Like, just have that relationship with people. And there's this guy who only takes cash, no card. You better come with cash prepared. And we try to get eggs from him. And he's just a fun guy to talk to. And just has that type of produce. So it's awesome to hear that this is both meaningful to you, but that it's also working, and that you...
Well, I think it's working.
Well,
I mean, I'm not trying to break any records or anything like that, but for my pace, it's working.
Yeah, and you were enough. You're the second person I have set up an interview with via Instagram. You came up as a recommended account I should follow on Instagram. I was like, oh, this is cool. And saw everything you were doing around Fort Collins and reached out.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it.
And here we are.
Social media.
It
is for sure.
Yeah, you were talking about social media presence, because I feel like that's a way that a lot of people kind of inadvertently knock into new information that they didn't even know was out there. Via Instagram or Twitter, or they see people repost stuff.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I was talking with someone. I feel like Facebook it's like a ship that's slowly sinking. I feel like Facebook's had such a strong grip on United States society for a while, maybe even arguably many countries. And I just feel like it's moving to Instagram. I feel this like cultural shake.
I see. I don't know. I mean, I can't speak to that. I kind of can a little bit, but I do see that my Instagram page, I get a few new followers every day, which I'm not seeing so much on Facebook. I think Instagram is easy. It's just easy to click on and see post. It's much easier for me to post on Instagram. Maybe I should say that.
Well, Facebook's kind of overwhelming, like all the stuff up top, and it has like all these recommendations on the side. If you start a page for anything on Facebook, get ready, because they are going to try to boost your posts.
Oh yeah, I get that. I do get that a lot.
They're going to send notifications like 5 times a day about here's how you could be tweaking your page.
That's
for people
true. Actually, now that you said that,
Instagram just leaves you alone.
Yeah.
But the funny bit is that they're both owned by Facebook. So Instagram, if that move occurred, maybe Facebook saw this coming. And
that's true.
They spot out the competition, and they're ready for that shift.
Yeah.
But and if my memory serves me correctly, you have a big following on Instagram. So I
think I'm like inching towards 700, which is really good for me.
Right, there
Since
you go.
Just started it last summer.
And you've been doing the pickle company for 3 years, right?
So let me think. I started November 4th. We're in 2000. So is that right? 2016? I think that's right. 16?
It's
18. So I'm going to be going into my 3rd year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
November 4th officially will be my 3rd year.
Right.
Of having
You're going to throw a celebration?
National Pickle Day, if I remember right, is November 14th.
Now, is this a coincidence, or did you plan?
No, it's a total coincidence, but I'm going to milk it for what it's worth.
We're going to change that anniversary founding date over 10 days to the 14th.
I'm going to do something for the 3rd year and National Pickle Day. I'm not sure what yet.
Yeah.
But
I picked up that you recently had a partnership started with, is it Jodar Farms? Jodar Farms.
Yes. So Doug Rice and his son, they are taking all of my waste, so my ends of my cucumbers, or if I'm doing relish, whatever I have for the day, and they're composting it and taking it out to the farm to either feed the chickens and pigs or composting.
Right. So it's more sustainable.
Yes.
No waste. And how does a partnership like that even
So
start?
I've known Doug since I worked at another social work job before the Department of Human Services, for the Sheriff's Department. For Community Justice Partnership with Lori Cliff. And I think they changed their name. It's not that. So Doug worked for the District Attorney's Office. So I've had a friendship with him for over the years, and he's not doing that anymore. He's working on the farm and doing other things. And then just reached out to him. I can't even remember why. A couple years ago we reconnected. And then, he's been a really huge support of the pickle company, and decided that it would be a great idea not to throw away all of that food if it can go towards the animals.
Right.
And composting.
And this gets at another thing I was thinking about earlier, too, is just how interdependent people are in the community. All these connections. And I think I've said this before on the show, but if people turn around and say, I did this on my own, they're forgetting parts of their story.
Oh, gosh.
Because, just like you said earlier, so much help.
support.
And then it's like you have probably actually helped out another business, even if you weren't even aware of it.
I know I have. I hope I have, because it is can be such a difficult process. So I'm happy to share what I've learned with anybody starting out.
Right. Let's say someone.
I don't want to give them the wrong information, but I can direct them who would have the right information.
Well, no, we can't read a self-help book and then sue the author because it didn't work out for us, right? Yeah, let's say that someone's listening out there and they're thinking about starting a small business. Do you have any generalized things that you've said you've learned? Now, if not, we could be more specific and tune this to someone who's starting up something that's in the consumables department.
I know what people told me, and I know what I did just to start out with. Check out what's out there. They say check out the competition, see what's out there. There's honestly so much. I can't even tell you where exactly to start, because right when I thought I was going the right way, it's oh, you forgot to do this, you need to do this. There's a lot of hoops to jump through. So I guess that would probably be my one piece of advice, is be ready for lots of hoops to jump through or roadblocks.
Paperwork.
Yes. Paperwork.
Taxes.
Money going out that you didn't think was going to be going out, having to wait for it to come back in. Just be ready for all the challenges. Don't get discouraged, because it's really super easy to get discouraged. Just keep moving forward, but definitely have some idea of what you're getting into.
Right, because we want people to follow their dreams, but we also want people to take a fine-tooth comb over that dream and say, what are the possibilities and what are the complications? What does it look like once I drop into this arena? Who's going to be looking at me? And because every dollar that you make from I don't know why, just banana popped in my head. If you start a banana company, all the other banana companies are going to look at you, and because you're in the shared space.
Yes, definitely. And one person and couple that I really do want to give a shout out to also, that has helped me kind of navigate through more of what I need for what I needed for the state, the commercial part of it, is Amy from Rocky Mountain Salsa, Amy and Greg. They are the owners, or Amy's the owner of Rocky Mountain Salsa, and they have the kitchen that I'm currently out of, and she has been they both have been a huge help with kind of guiding me through some of the obstacles. So when you said that if someone says that they did it all on their own or whatever, that's 100% not in my case. I've had a lot of support and people that have supported me and not asked for anything in return, which is huge, especially starting a new business. Right.
You said, be tenacious, don't give up. Do you remember any of the motivations you used for those tough times? Because I think, that is a common piece of advice, but I think the strings that you're able to pull to get back up that next day and say, I'm just not feeling it, but we're going to keep doing it because I'm going to prove the haters wrong.
Yeah, I don't even want to say, prove anybody wrong. I think it's more about me. I think it's just who I am. And I told my husband I'm not going to fail. But fail can look different ways to different people. I already feel like even if the pickle company went away tomorrow, I've succeeded. I mean, truly, from where I was to where I am, huge. I think it's just an internal part of me and wanting to see where this goes, and the feedback that I get from people, that probably keeps me going the most.
Positive feedback?
Positive, yeah. If I miss a market, you know, when I get an email or a phone call saying, oh my goodness, I came by and you weren't there today, or if I wasn't scheduled for a market and they thought that I was supposed to be there, that part kind of keeps me going too. Or the people that come up and say, this is the best pickle I've ever tasted. Like I said before, this reminds me of my grandmother. I mean, that part keeps me going. I don't know. I think the potential could be huge. I just want to take it at my pace and make sure that I'm doing everything right and that I'm putting the best pickle I can out there.
Right.
That sounds so silly, but it's the truth. My life has changed so much. It's really focused on pickles.
Yeah. I'm sure you've said the word pickle in the last hour. Well, maybe more than last week, but more than that, in the last 3 years, you've probably said the word pickle more than your entire
yes.
life before.
Yes.
I don't know if this is a strange question, but of all... So you start to get this... Correct me if I'm wrong. So when you were leaving your role as a social worker, you didn't quite know exactly what business it was going to be yet. Or did you already have the pickle in mind?
Oh, yeah. I wouldn't have went into anything else.
Okay. So
yeah, no. Yeah.
So,
there's no way. It was the pickle company. There's no way I would have done anything else. I just...
I assume, growing up through the years, family heritage, you ate more than just pickles.
Yeah.
So, of all the foods you grew up on, how did you start to gravitate towards pickles?
Well, I think this goes back to growing up and my friends coming over. So when we pickled a lot. And we had, basically I was the helper at that time, but we had a kind of a cellar down in the basement that we'd keep all the pickles and whatever, canned foods and stuff. And my friends would come over and they would go down and grab a jar of pickles and eat them till they made themselves sick. So that was the one thing that even my friends from junior high, when they know that I've been doing this, I've gotten messages from them and saying, oh my gosh, I loved your parents' pickles. And those are the ones I remember coming over and making themselves sick on pickles. So I guess pickles always kind of that was just the obvious.
Y'all just happened to devote
pickles
an
were kind of
large cucumber area?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Or? So if you go on the Fort Collins Pickle Company website, some of the pictures, it shows the one garden over to the right, which is the big garden, and then I had my garden over to the left, and you can see my grandmother, Gog, and we called her Gog, that was her nickname, and then myself in the garden, and there's a lot of gourds and stuff, but I got my own garden for my cucumbers, my gourds, my pumpkins, my corn, all of that. So I had my own garden.
Right. And so cucumbers and pickles were just a family interest, and then... Yeah.
I can't even really remember my family canning a whole lot of anything else than cucumbers. So, but since I've been canning, I do like beets for my friends, and my daughter loves jalapenos, pickled jalapenos. So when she graduated from CSU, I did a case of, for a kind of a joke gift for her, a case of pickled jalapenos that she took with her. Anyway,
hey, those are good toppers.
They're great.
No one's
actually
gonna throw those away.
Yeah, so I've been doing just some things. I do Brussels sprouts for a friend of mine, and when I have time, it just takes me away from the pickling the cucumber.
Driving that pickle ship.
Yeah.
Made me think. Like I was remembering back to a decent sized garden we had when I was growing up, and my first memory. I'm sure we grew a lot, but it always goes back to like shucking corn. Mm-hmm. That's what it's called, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and like just this huge styrofoam ice chest full of water with corn sitting in it and bobbing around as we were finishing, and that just like jumped out to me when you were telling your family history. So it's very interesting. So this pickle train started way before you.
It started
came
way
along.
Before me. Yeah.
And how did you decide when you're in the lab and you're cooking up the recipes?
Okay.
And you think, this is good. Grandma's recipe is great, but I have a separate idea.
Yeah.
Did that just like kind of come like what you were tasting and you thought, well, what about this?
Yes. So I stuck with the basic brine of what my parents pickled with. And then I did a different take on seasonings, but I wanted to kind of keep with the classic, like dills, the hot pickle, and then bread and butters I don't mess with those at all really, except the habanero, but that's, nothing crazy. And so when I was testing things out, I had pickle parties. So I would have people come over.
Oh, yeah.
And my friends come over, and I do a bunch of like food with different recipes with pickles in them. But I also had like a blind taste test. And I'd put my pickle up against like 3 other pickles. So I'd have A, B, C, D. And then they'd taste them, write down what they thought as far as which one they liked. They didn't know which one was mine or anything like that. So I did that a few times. I had a few of those parties and kind of like figured out really which way I was going to go, and what spices worked better and what people liked. So that's how
that must have been so fun.
It was fun.
Come over.
It actually was a lot of fun.
People are like, "What are you doing on this Friday night?"
Well, going to a pickle tasting.
I'm going to a pickle tasting party
Yes.
to see if I can discern which one of my friend's pickles. And so they were helping you kind of craft this over time.
Yeah.
So that's another example of people helping you out, because you were able to like crowdsource this opinion. Mm-hmm. It wasn't just you, because everyone's taste buds are so different.
They are different. I have learned that people are very picky about their pickles. They are.
Which one is the biggest seller? What's the flagship?
Gosh, you know what? I looked last year because I thought if one is selling more than the other and one's not selling, maybe I take one off of the pickle lineup, and they're all pretty darn equal.
About equal.
Yeah, it depends.
Wow.
It depends. Some days, like garlic dills will sell more, but then the next day it'll be, when I'm at a market, the habanero dills. So bread and butters are always a pretty consistent one if you like a sweet pickle. So people are really picky as far as if they like a sweet pickle or not. You either love it or you're not so sure about it.
Right.
But if you love it, then you're going to like Fort Collins Pickle Company's bread and butters.
Yeah, there it is.
Yep.
And do you sell more than just spears, or?
I do chips.
Chips.
Also. Mm-hmm.
Do one of those sell more than the other?
No. I think it's probably even. I bring to markets, because that's pretty much how I see what's selling. I mean, directly to the consumer. And it just depends. Some people love the chips. Some people love the spears. It depends what they're wanting them for. Some people want them for drinks. Some people want them for sandwiches. If I run out of like a certain kind, they're like, okay, I'll just wait till next week till you have them. So I think people really are set on what kind of pickle they like.
Right. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I never thought about people's pickiness of their pickles.
They are very picky.
And how did this first idea come that I should partner with a liquor store so people could put them in their Bloody Marys?
Well, the big thing is pickle brine now, or I don't know if you've seen that, but pickle brine, people are drinking it for after they work out, or they
so
put
like
it.
pickle, yeah.
Yeah, so the brine in this, when you're done with this jar, keep the brine, and then you can stick other veggies in there, or you can make, I don't know if you drink Bloody Marys, but you can put it in some Bloody Mary mix. You can put hard-boiled eggs that are shelled after you boil them, shell them, put them in there. Then you'll have pickled eggs. Stick them in the fridge. Don't leave them out.
Right.
There's a ton of things that you can do with the brine. People like Bloody Marys and martinis and all of that stuff. And so that's kind of, I've seen other pickles in liquor stores, and then I reached out to some of them, some of the owners that I knew, and they carried them, and they do pretty well.
That's cool.
So I just do the spears at the liquor stores, but it's mainly for, Bloody Marys and...
Yeah, now that you mention it, using the brine, aka pickle juice, has been linked, and I've been told multiple times that people should drink it, especially if they're on a ketogenic diet, a low-carb diet. It's like coming out of left field.
Yeah.
My mom's even text me, "Did you drink pickle juice lately?" It's like, no.
I know a lot of people say they drink it. I'm not the one to ask about the benefits or if there are any benefits. I've read the articles, but I just know a lot of people like the juice and drink it and use it for lots of other stuff.
Oh, when I was a kid, I would straight up drink pickle juice.
Yeah.
The brine, now I know to call it appropriately.
Well, pickle juice, it's
enjoyed it. Right.
Yeah.
Do you have anything specifically on the horizon for what's next?
Not anything huge, except just trying to expand out into some more areas. I am doing a pickle exclusively for Old Town Spice Shop, and it's a Carolina Reaper dill. and that should be out in the next month. But I'm not going to be selling that anywhere else except Old Town Spice Shop, and it is a hot pickle. And Sean helped me, and his buddies helped me kind of get the flavor right. I'm not a super hothead. I did a batch for them, and then they're like, I think it could be hotter, just for fun. And then I guess I found the right mixture between the Reapers and a pickle. So they said, what are you going to do with this? And I said, I don't know. What do you want to do with this? And so they should be carrying at Old Town Spice Shop in the next month.
People heard it here. Old Town Spice, that was an exclusive type of pickle. That's neat that you collaborated with people on not just giving out a product, but coming up with a new one.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, and I also, well, this isn't new, but I also work with Colorado Ketchup, and I do a relish for them that goes along with their ketchup and mustard. So, and that's at Beavers Market. I think that's the only one that's carrying that relish is at Beavers.
So if people are interested in looking up Fort Collins Pickle Company, they want to buy a jar or 10, they could rewind the episode back to that list of stores. Also, I assume website?
The website has everything listed.
Okay.
Yeah, all the stores listed.
And if you want to reach out to you in particular, email, is that probably best?
Sure,
you
email.
have a contact page on your website? Or?
Yes, I do. Or they can just, it's focopickles at gmail.com.
Right, and people could definitely look you up on Instagram. Just how I found you.
Yep.
And
Facebook, Pinterest, and my website. Yeah.
Okay, we're still throwing Facebook some bones for now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, any parting words for people out there who might be either interested in coming up with their own creation, or they're already out there and they're doing it and they're feeling that struggle?
Just keep moving forward. Keep it on. It's tough. There's going to be good days and bad days, but that's like anything. So just keep working hard. I think that's a huge part of it, is just have to work hard and know that there's going to be something great at the end or in the future. I'm not the expert motivational speaker at all.
You are, though.
Like, sometimes I barely am getting by. So I guess be realistic. Also, don't sell yourself short. Be realistic about what you can do. Ask for help.
Motivational speakers who go to high schools a lot of times are just good at speaking. It doesn't mean they're in the middle of the fray, and they're not. That doesn't mean they're walking the walk. But if people can hear from you, they know you're in the community and you're doing what you say you're doing. Yeah,
I'm doing what I'm doing and seeing where it's going.
Fort Collins Pickle Company.
Fort Collins Pickle Company.
So if someone's in the area and they want to give you all a try, then definitely try it out.
Yes. Yep.
All right. Well, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Do you have an idea or input about a possible future guest on the show? Reach out to us at themoreyouknow@gmail.com or just private message us on our Instagram page. I want to say a special thank you to Russell Isaac Long, the man responsible for all the music used here at the NoCo. Are you looking for a little bit of bonus content in addition to the regular episodes on the show? Look for us out there on the interwebs on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all at The More You Know Co. Until next time, peace!